Hey everybody, so I'm going to talk quickly about one of the best tools that is available for Windows or Mac, because Linux actually has some other options that are Linux was kind of ahead of Google on this, or ahead of Google for Windows and Mac, but for Windows and Mac, for using Google Drive, you have two options for your personal computer, or your work computer, whatever. And they're right down here, so you can see what the web address is there. And if you type in Google Drive file stream download and search, you'll find this page. But at any rate, here's the URL. And basically, the first one is backup and sync. And I may have even done a video on that. But backup and sync, I have on here. And it's this little icon right there. And this has my personal drive set up in it. And basically, backup and sync does exactly that. It will back up to your local PC, whatever you tell it to from Drive, and it will synchronize it. So the nice thing with that one is you can work offline. The downside of that is that it takes up your hard drive space. So like if I go to Google Drive here, this is all stuff that I have in my personal Google Drive. So like pictures and my CV and stuff like that. And it's backed up locally here. I also have it backed up to my server, which is Linux, using a program for that. I'm not going to touch on that. You can do this with Windows or Mac. There's an application for both of them, and it's nice. And the nice thing is, when you're connected online, it synchronizes automatically. So if you make a change to a file, it synchronizes in both places. So, but now let's say I turn this computer off, and I go somewhere, I go to work, and I work on a file on Drive. Whatever file it is, just from within the normal Chrome Drive access. When I come back home and turn this on, when it first connects to the internet, it'll update it. And that's the app down here that you see. That's the little icon down here that you see. It will synchronize it back to this. But if I'm working on this, it automatically syncs to the cloud as well, as long as you're connected. Again, if you're offline, though, and this is the nice thing about backup and sync, if you're offline, you can still do things like editing photos or whatever, and when you are back online, it'll update it. Now, for my personal drive, I've got, 6 or 7 gigabytes out of a maximum of 17 gigabytes, which Google gives you 15 on a free personal account. And I've got a couple extra gigabytes from some promotion. For personal accounts, that's usually okay. As long as you're not trying to dump a bunch of movies or music on there, even for just photos, it's okay. And you can use the Photos app as well. I'm not going to touch on that because there's some nuances there. But if photos are your thing, you should look at the difference between backup and sync and the Photos app itself and whatever. So anyways, that's option number one. And again, that's what I've got my personal drive set up on. But my school drive is set up on a different one. And this one was just made available, I think, for personal accounts, although I don't see it on this page right here, because you notice here it says backup and sync download, but right here the download link isn't shown. But I do think it will work with personal accounts. However, I'm doing this to talk about school accounts or work accounts, in my case school accounts, probably most of yours as well. And if you come to this site, Chrome Unbox, they had an article called G Suite File Stream with Personal Gmail Accounts. And this is what it looks like. And for some of you, it may have already been available. I don't know, because it was something that your G Suite admin could have made available for you. But for a lot of folks, even with G Suite, it wasn't available until recently. And since I saw this ad or this article, I checked it out, and it is awesome. This synchronizes without backing up. So it's not backup and sync, it's just sync. But it's sync and locally shown. So, let's see. This is just more information about FileStream. Yeah, I'll close this up. So you can download it for Windows or Mac right here, and you can see what the download link is there as well. If you kind of squint, you should be able to see it. What this does is it will still show up in File Explorer. So you see Google Drive shows up here. This is backup and sync. This is my personal one. The Drive file stream shows up as well, but you see it shows up down here as a separate hard drive. So if I go to this PC, for instance, you see right here, now it's showing the amount of free space on my hard drive, but actually it says takes up as much space as you have available on your G Suite drive or on your personal drive. So the reason it shows that amount, though, I believe, is because it will allow you to make files available offline, which means it will download the file to your local machine, in which case from that individual file it works like backup and sync. But I wouldn't use it like that. Just use it for file streaming. And so when I open up my drive, this is everything that I have within my school Google Drive. And I'm not downloading it. The reason this matters to me so much is because, again, on my personal drive, I have 15 gigabytes and 7 of them are being used, something like that. It's this minuscule amount. I mean, you can fit it on a flash drive, literally, on a relatively cheap flash drive. However, especially with all of us making videos and using new software and all of these other things, I have something like 100 to 120 gigabytes of files, of stuff on my school drive, and some of it is other teachers as well. Some of it was shared, some of it is things that other teachers have on my drive for one reason or another, and that, you know, I may have shared back to them just because it was easier at the time, whatever. And so without getting into too many details, I have a ton of stuff on there. I don't want to back that up locally. I don't want to waste the time to download 120 gigabytes worth of stuff. I don't want to waste the hard drive space of using 120 gigabytes worth of stuff. It's not worth it to me. I'll download a few things, sure. A couple of things I'll make available offline and I'll keep those. But for the most part, I just want it saved in the cloud on Drive. And that is where Google Drive file stream comes in. So here's the installer. Google Drive FS setup, and you'll see it's 270 megabytes. Which isn't huge or anything. It's a small program. And so now, again, I've got this icon for backup and sync. That's backup and sync for my personal account, but this one is Drive file stream. And you can see that it still shows notifications. When it says everything is up to date, it didn't synchronize things with the computer. That's like the index. The index is up to date. In other words, you have access right now to the most recent files. If I lost connection for some reason, then that might not be up to date. Of course, the problem with that is now if my partner's working on it, on a file, and I'm working on that same file, we're not in sync. One of us is going to overwrite the other one once my internet comes back. So, you know, you want to have a steady, secure internet connection, but this is my home desktop. It's pretty steady and it's pretty secure and it works pretty well. And so, again, I can have all of this stuff available to me right here. I can get to it from home like that. And it is quite fast without needing to worry about storing all of that stuff locally. So like I can get right into, you know, any of my information here, and it's super nice. I don't know what any of these things are, so I'm not going to go over them because it's, you know, school related stuff, student stuff, whatever. And I certainly don't want to show any like homeworks to my to the audience here, just in case a kid's watching. But like you can see, this is all of my regular school stuff. And so that's really the difference. So these are two totally different programs. They can be installed at the same time. With Google Backup and Sync, you can have multiple accounts on at the same time. I expect that you can as well with Google Drive file stream, but I haven't tried it yet with this one, honestly. But again, for me, I want a personal backup and I want it local because I want it to be fast and I want it to be a personal backup is more secure. I've got it locally and in the cloud. Now, if something happens to either copy, I've got the other copy. For my work stuff, I know the school backs it up anyways, so I'm not nearly as concerned about that. But I still want access to it from home, and I don't want to have to go to the website. And this is the crux of it. This is the best part. You don't have to go to the Drive website, and you can use Windows File Explorer to manipulate it. So, for instance, my schedule here, if I want to, I can just right-click, copy, right-click, paste, just like I could with any other file. If I want to, come back here, I can just drop it in there. Now you notice what just happened. It still kept it on here, but it also put it in there, and that's because it sees it as a separate drive. And when Windows sees something as a separate drive, unless you do cut, if you try to move it from one drive to another, it copies by default. It doesn't cut. And again, that's because it sees it as a separate drive, which it is, because it's not local to this computer. It's not on this C drive. It's not on the hard drive. It's on some other drive somewhere else. And so it's super convenient. It's free. It's now available, as that said, for personal accounts as well. So do I recommend it for personal accounts? Yeah, if you don't have much hard drive space, absolutely. If you have the hard drive space and you don't have a ton on Google Drive, then use Backup and Sync. That's a little bit safer to have that extra copy. If you don't want a copy of your stuff, or if you don't need it, or if you don't have the space, use this Drive file stream. For work, I would say use Drive file stream instead of Backup and Sync, because you're not going to want to have all of that junk available at home unless you're often working at home, and need it readily available, and you don't have a good internet connection that's reliable. That's the only reason that set of conditions is the only reason why you would want to have it Backup and Sync. Otherwise, just do Drive file stream like this, and it works super well. It's super fast, and it's awesome. So now, for instance, if I create a video on this computer, rather than having to open up the Drive web page and drag and drop the thing and do upload and see the whole Drive website and all of that junk that I don't even want to deal with, all I have to do is open up my PC and it's right there. Just like that. I can copy from and to and paste and cut and do all of that stuff. I can rename things. I can do whatever. If I try to open up something which is a Google document, like a G Sheet, G Slide, whatever, it will open up right in Google anyways. It will open up in Chrome. Now, interestingly, the last time I did that, it asked me, do I want to open it up in Backup and Sync or open it up in File Stream? Because both handle the same files. So I did open in File Stream, but in either case, it would just open it up in Chrome, actually, in your default browser. I think that's about all I got for this. So it's an awesome little program. You should definitely get it if you're a teacher. It makes your life so much easier, so much easier. You can then treat your Google Drive like it is a folder on your computer, because it essentially is. It's synchronized. It's not available offline unless you make those things available offline. In which case you might as well use Backup and Sync if you do that a lot. But it is awesome because it gives you direct access and quick access to all of your stuff on Drive without having to open up any browser. It's built right in within Windows. Or if you're on Mac, it's built into the Finder on Mac. Windows Explorer, Finder on Mac. All right, hope that helps somebody. Enjoy.